What's up, you guys? MikeSytes back again with another video, and this time the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. And as promised, this video is going to be about the camera systems. So I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the features, settings, and modes, and you're going to know exactly what you need to know, right? So stay locked on this video because we got a beast of a tutorial coming up right after the intro, baby. Let's roll. Okay, so first feature, tracking autofocus. You mean to tell me that my S22 Ultra is going to track a moving subject? You've got to be kidding me, right? And I'll be able to do this in both photo and video mode? Well, guess what? You keep your eyes on this video because I am in beast mode right now. And I'm going to let Mando take over and show you exactly how to set this whole thing up. You see how I have Mando on the screen right now? Well, when I touch him, right, the only thing that I'm going to get is a blurry image each and every time he moves around. And you've been wondering all this time why your autofocus is not working, right? Well, I'm going to show you what you need to do. Touch that little cogwheel at the top left to go into your camera settings. Now, what you're looking for is tracking autofocus. Now, you see how mine is turned off, right? Well, I just turned it on. How about that? And if I put Mando back in the ring and hit him below the belt, you'll see that there's a little yellow square that's going to appear, and it'll track him everywhere he moves so he stays in focus. You got that? And the cool thing about this is that even if Mando jumps out of the ring and then comes back in, well, there's no way he can avoid these blows, right? Because that little yellow square is going to track him wherever he goes. And how about if I take on something smaller, like little Grogu? But you know something? He's a big baller, you know, because he can track me better than I can track him. But guess what? This is a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. So guess who the Force is with right now, huh? And speaking of Force, how about if I just use my voice to force this thing to take a photo or a video? And if you notice, I just put Dune on screen, and you know she doesn't say much, but I'm going to do all the talking on this trip. And you can too. Go to your settings and scroll all the way up until you see shooting methods. And once you find it, go ahead and touch on it, and that'll take you into your voice command options. So for photo, you've got smile, cheese, capture, and shoot. And to record video, you can just simply say record video. Wasn't that simple? So now you can just simply tap twice on that little go back arrow at the very top. That'll take you back into your camera. And I'm going to go ahead and test this thing out to see if it really works. Smile. Cheese. Capture. Shoot. You know, none of those words made her move, not even the word shoot. But I bet you if I put the music on and say record video, then she might start doing something new. And guess what? You can too. Go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button while you're at it too, okay? Next up, director's view. Now, the big question here is, what exactly is director's view, right? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you right now. And what you need to do is to go to that camera slider and move over to where it says more. Do you see that? And as you can see, I have just a variety of camera options that I can choose from. Pro mode, pro video, portrait, and then at the very bottom, you'll see where it says director's view. Do you see that? So now that you know where to find it, let me explain what it does. This awesome feature allows you to view all cameras on screen simultaneously, including your selfie camera. And you'll be able to record video and switch from camera to camera as you record without the need for editing. Now, you know what that is? That's called beast mode. And there is no other smartphone except for the S21 Ultra that can do this. Now, notice I can just drop that little bar down to get rid of my multiple camera views, right? And then I can just bring it back up again if I want to. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm really trying to get you to notice is that my selfie screen is on my display. And all I need to do is just to touch on it one time, and then that little symbol on the top left is going to appear, so I can just take my little finger and move it anywhere I want to on my display. So are you convinced yet that this is the way? Yes. This is the way. And if I take my S22 Ultra and flip it around the other way, you'll see that it's much more convenient for me to work with that aspect ratio. You got me? And you notice that my selfie camera view and all the other camera views are on my display, and I can choose from whatever display I want simultaneously while I am filming video. You know something? Jon Favreau's probably watching this video right now, wishing that he had a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. So now that I've got your attention on a few of the beast mode features, let me pull you in a little more and touch on Pro Photo and Pro Video. So open up your camera app. You do remember how to do that, right? And then scroll over to the left until you see More. And you remember that I brought you here before at the beginning of the video, right? But the two that we're going to touch on are the top two, one that says Pro and the other that says Pro Video. And the one at the very bottom is Director's View. You remember? Me and Mando already covered that one for you, right? So go ahead and touch on the one that says Pro, and I'm going to show you all the camera settings so that way you know which way to go. And just so you know, Pro mode is intended for photos, not videos, because you already have a Pro Video, and the camera settings for both are completely separate and independent from each other. And you notice in my Pro Photo mode that I have my ISO, my speed, my EV, which is my exposure value or exposure compensation, and I also have auto or manual focus, and the setting that has the color yellow will be the one that is active or takes priority. And just because it's white doesn't mean that it's bad, right? Because look over to the right. That is your white balance. And now you can set the color temperature for your camera. You see how it's changing on my screen? Pretty cool, huh? So depending on my lighting conditions, well, I can go ahead and adjust the color temperature here to match my creative needs. And if you want to know my favorite, well, pay attention. I'm showing it to you on screen. It's 5200 Kelvin, which seems to be the correct color temperature for my lighting situation and my surrounding environment. Now you notice that I've jumped over to my ISO, right? And I'm kind of playing around with it with my scroll dial. And the most important tip I want to give you is that you want to set your ISO as low as possible so that you have a sharp image with no noise and that the exposure is acceptable in regard to the shutter speed that you have set on your S22 Ultra. Now go into your camera settings and let's take a look at your picture formats. And this is where you would go if you would like to take your photos in RAW. Now for those of you who I just lost, deer in the headlights, let me explain. RAW is a format that allows you to take photos and video with more detail and more information so you can pull more colors out of your pictures without destroying the image quality. And as you can see in my picture formats, I have RAW copies and I can turn that option on. And now let me show you some sample photos that I took with RAW turned off, and you can already see that the clouds don't have much detail, do they? And then when I go into post-production and try to pull that detail out, well, you know what they say, you can't squeeze blood out of a rock, right? So the next photo, I decided to turn RAW on, and I immediately noticed details and dynamic response in the clouds. And I'm going to tell you, once I put this in post-production, it was much easier for me to pull those details out to get a final color without saturation. And just so you know, you can output both JPEG and RAW at the same time, but this is only available on your Pro Photo mode. You got me? And you know what that means, right? Beast mode. And the reason why this is so impressive is because this mode is supported on all cameras for the Galaxy S22 Ultra, ultra wide, wide angle, telephoto. All the camera lenses have support for RAW with the exception of the front-facing selfie camera. And just so you know, the previous model Galaxy S21 Ultra does not have this type of support. Now let's get into the Pro Video mode so I can show you exactly what you need to do and where you need to go. Switch over to your video and go to your camera settings and look for Advanced Recording Options. Now I'm going to explain what HDR10 Plus is for your video so you understand it. HDR stands for High Dynamic Range. It's a movie mastering format and there are three main ones: HDR10, HDR10 Plus, and Dolby Vision. You remember Dolby Vision on the iPhone 13 Pro Max? Well, guess what? I'm having another video coming up in detail. It is a battle video against HDR10 on the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra and Dolby Vision on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. You better stay tuned and watch that video because there's a lot of details in there, advanced features. So let me show you some sample videos that I took straight out of camera from my S22 Ultra and then switching over to HDR10 Plus so you can see the differences in the video. Now what was surprising was not just the dynamic range and the image quality, but also the audio seemed to change whenever I switched the mode over to HDR10 Plus. Now, it's important to understand that this format requires a TV or monitor that's able to accommodate a much higher level of brightness and a much wider range of colors. And the reason why I don't see this type of image on my S22 Ultra is simply because of the fact that it can accommodate a wider color range at a much higher level of brightness at 1700 nits. So check this out. Just because that picture looks good on your S22 Ultra doesn't mean it's going to look good when you share it with your friend who's been walking around with that cheapy little flip phone that he got from the thrift store. So let me show you how to get into your menu settings so you can go ahead and set this up. Go into your camera settings and touch on Pro Video. And once you're in, you'll see that all of your settings are going to be similar to your Pro Photo, but they will be independent and separate. And you also have some audio meters at the very top. Do you see that? Well, I use that as a quick indicator so I know exactly where I am in my Pro modes. Now you can see that all of the setting selections are pretty much the same, right? With the exception of the one all the way to the right that says mic, and just to the right of that one, you'll see it says zoom. So since you're familiar with all the other ones, let's go check out what mic has to offer. Talking about the settings, not me. So the first one, Omni, will capture all the sounds that are around you. Front will capture everything to the front of you, and rear will capture everything to the rear. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? And if you go to the top and click on the little cogwheel to get into your settings, you'll be able to go and see all of the options. Here you see video stabilization. That's really important. I always keep that turned on when I'm moving. And there are so many other features. Well, guess what? Already started work on the next video against the iPhone 13 Pro Max, a camera battle. And you're going to be surprised at some of the things that I found out, but you better stay tuned, okay? Until then, I'm out. All right, you guys, thank you so much for letting me do this video for you. Hey, that's a beast of a camera system, isn't it? I might have told you something that you didn't know, but guess what? Got tutorial number 3 coming up next week, baby. And you want to know what it is, huh? No, I'm not going to tell you. Keep it a secret. You better hit that notification bell so that you know my video's coming. Well, I'll give it away. So you better stay locked, all right? So until then, what do we say? You live every day. Laugh beyond words and learn, right, baby? Peace. I'll see you guys on the next one.